This video is on graphing linear inequalities. We're going to do 3 examples on graphing inequalities in 2 variables. First step is to make sure that we have solved for y, that it is in slope-intercept form. Then when we graph, we're going to graph all the coordinates from our y-intercept and then using our slope to find the other coordinates. Then we need to use either a solid or dotted line. Then we need to shade above or below the line. So this first example, it is already in slope-intercept form, so we can actually graph our coordinates. And let's go ahead and determine if it's going to be a solid line or dotted, if we're going to shade above or below. So since we do not have the equal to aspect here, this line will be dotted. So we'll go ahead and write out dotted. Because it is less than means the information below or lower than the value. So we want to have the graph shaded below the line. So we will shade below the line. We will also check the coordinate 0, 0. So if we check the coordinate 0, 0, we can then see, will we shade towards 0, 0 or away from 0, 0? So if we check 0, 0, the y value is 0, less than -2, parentheses, the x value is 0, plus 3. So we have 0 is less than 0 plus 3 is 3. 0 is less than 3, so that means that we will shade towards the coordinate of 0, 0. So let's plot our line. Our first coordinate is 0, 3, because that is our y-intercept. Let's go ahead and put our x and y on here. And what we're going to count by, we're going to count by 1 since we have smaller numbers. So as we count by 1s, 0, 3 is our first coordinate, 0, 1, 2, 3. Our slope is -2 over 1. So we're going to do a change in y of -2 and a change of x of +1. I'm going to follow that same pattern and do as many coordinates as I can. I cannot go any further down, so I'll go back to the y-intercept and I'll do it the opposite way. So a change of, -2 over 1 can be the same thing as +2 over -1. So I can change of y a +2 and change of x as a -1. I can follow that pattern as well until I cannot any longer. So this will be a dotted line. So I'll do a dotted line. Change this to red. And I will connect my coordinates into a dotted line. And now it says that we want to shade below. Now if I look back at this and I take any point on this line and I shade below, so that means below the line, I go down. And it did shade towards that 0, 0 that I marked. So that means that all of this information on this side of the graph is what's being shaded. That means that any coordinate inside of the shaded area is a coordinate that would work for this equation or this inequality. The only coordinates that would not work are the non-shaded area and any coordinate on the line itself, because it's only less than, not less than or equal to. That is the difference between a solid and dotted line. A coordinate on the line, in this case, will not work. So example 2, we need to get y by itself, and in this case, we actually do have to do that. So let's go ahead and solve for y. The first step will be move that x over, so we want to subtract the x on both sides. So we have -y is greater than or equal to -1 minus x. Y is still not alone. We need to divide by a -1 on everything. So we'll have y is, since we just divided by a negative with an inequality, we must flip that inequality. -1 divided by -1 is a +1, and a negative x divided by a -1 is a positive x. So we can rewrite this as y is less than or equal to, let's put the positive x first, and then the +1. So we have y is less than or equal to x plus 1. Now we can determine if it's going to be dotted or solid. Now, since it's less than or equal to, this is going to be a solid line. And because it says this is less than or equal to, Less than, again, means the number's underneath or smaller, so this will be below the line. We will also check 0, 0 in a moment to see if we should shade towards 0, 0 or not. So to check, I'll put it down here. 0 goes in for y, less than or equal to. 0 goes in for x, plus 1. So 0 less than or equal to 1. 0 is less than 1, so that means that it is true. This is true. It means that we should shade towards 0, 0. So let's go ahead and put our x and y on here. And what our count bys are, we're going to count by ones. Our first coordinate is 0, 1 as the y-intercept. And our slope is a positive 1, so that's a change in 1 over a change in 1. So we're going to go change in 1 on the y, change in 1 on the x. We're going to follow the same pattern as far as we can go. Just keep going as far as you can. And then we change course and go the opposite way, so we can do as many coordinates as we can. Again, we do as many coordinates so that our graph is as accurate as possible. Now to draw our line, we wanted it to be a solid line. So I got my solid line. I changed my color to red. So I have my solid line. And now I want to shade. So again, it said to shade below. So I'm going to take any point on this line and shade down. And it did in fact shade down towards that 0, 0, towards that green line, or to that green dot that I put here at 0, 0, because it should work. That means that all of this information is shaded. All of this information works. And that means anything out here as well. Don't forget that it doesn't just stop. It keeps going all the way out here as well. So in this case, since it is a solid line, any coordinate on the line will work. Example 1, the coordinates on the line did not work because it was dotted. But example 2 has a solid line. That means that the coordinates on the line do work. Our last example, we want to get y by itself, and in this case it is. This one is only in one variable. It's a y, and if we remember, this is a horizontal line. This line is horizontal. So we want to go to the y value of 4, and all of the y values of 4 are what we want. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this y value of 4. So any y value of 4 is what we want. So all of these y values of 4 are what we want. Now, will this be a solid or dotted? Because this is just less than, it is not going to be solid. So that means this is a dotted line. Then, because this is less than, we want the values that are smaller than 4. So we want the information that's below the 4. And again, we'll check our 0, 0. So plugging it into here, y is 0 less than 4. Is 0 less than 4? Yes. That means that we should shade towards the 0, 0. All of our shading should go towards 0, 0. Now we're going to go to our line, and we will graph it in red, and it will be the values, apologize, all of these dots at 0, 0. At 4, where our values are 4. Let me change that color to red. There we go. Now, we want to shade, and again, it's the values that are below this line. So we want to shade below, so down, which is going towards that 0, 0. So all of this information below this line is what we're shading. And again, that's all of this information down here as well. It's not just the stuff inside this little graph, but all of the information on the outside as well. Because this was a dotted line, all of the values that are on the line will not work because it is a dotted line. If it had ever been greater than, we would have shaded above the line. And we would have seen that 0, 0 would not have worked here. But that's if it had said greater than.